so our next presenter is Mr. Orion Rayner, and he's going to present the faults in our education.
So, hi, my name is Orion Rayner, and I am presenting the faults in our education. With speech and debate class being cut, it's really hard for students to know how to make a PowerPoint presentation. Luckily for you, I've had great teachers and I know what I'm doing. So we're going to be talking today about what's wrong, what could be better, and why settling on our education just isn't the right move. What I had believed coming into this research about Common Core was that the standards just didn't consider people with mental handicaps or disorders. I considered it to be ineffective with getting the point across, or the lesson. I believed that it limited teachers, specifically newer teachers, that didn't know exactly how to teach, they hadn't had the experience with each individual lesson, and thus it limited them teaching students with disabilities. I also believed that because it cut debate and speech, you end up with titles like this. Education with Common Core, as we have it now, has wildly high standards. Educator values are no longer appreciated. In fact, as of 2013, 60% of teachers did not approve of Common Core education. And looking at the linear graph of that, it has only gotten worse. There is very little accommodation for students with special needs. And educators are no longer the boss. Big business is the boss. It's all about iron triangles, and we'll talk about that in a second. So what is it that's so incredibly wrong with what we have today? Well, the subject matter and the standards are at a very elevated level, which, while beneficial in some aspects, can leave students feeling inadequate and unmotivated, which often leads to a higher dropout rate, something we suffer from in MCHS. Not having those special needs students cared for ends up dumping them into government programs, making it a bigger burden on taxpayers, and it doesn't utilize their unique perspectives on life. And it often promotes medication, which, while not evil and beneficial to many, as myself included, it can leave children like this. No caring, spaced out, looking at the world through a lens of nothing but drugs. And that's not an everyday case. Teachers are also losing what little say they already had in education. And that, specifically for younger teachers, and teachers that were around before Common Core was ever implemented, develops a lack of drive to teach in many, which is a contagious attitude for youth, who see it as, if my teacher doesn't care about my education, why should I? So now we get to the iron triangle of education, in which we have book publishers, Kindle Hunt, for example, that's the geometry book we use at the school, policymakers, such as Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, and the school districts, which includes teachers, students, and administration. They're all kind of interconnected. So let's say that a book publisher wants to sell a new book. They've decided that the old one just isn't going to work, we're not selling enough, we need to make more money. They send lobbyists to the policymakers saying, you know, we could really use this new book being sold, and aren't we having a nice lunch here today? Those policymakers are like, yeah, you could use some more books, and I can see that the standards could be revised. So they require schools to buy new books. And with those demands come funds, which is the only reason school districts oblige. Schools then buy as instructed, and the school districts thus provide the money for future lobbying, which continues this triangle. So let's take a break and let's learn some things. Specifically, what can you do? Let's analyze some situations, as that is something Common Core focuses very heavily upon. Disasters, pandemics, and terrorism. Something Common Core would commonly use those three as is estimating fundamental needs in emergency situations. A specific example I got from the Common Core website for Colorado was let's plan exactly how to disperse supplies to 3 million people in a devastated city affected by terrorism, pandemics, or disasters. And it gave you different situational evidence in numbers for each of these 3 different situations. So what is it that those special needs students are experiencing? Well, they're experiencing a dramatic increase in number, which is overflowing what little accommodations we currently have. In fact, they've risen in number by over 200%. So these students that are already facing very, very troubling situations are now facing bullying and neglect in a roundabout way influenced by Common Core education. Students in Common Core feel like they can't escape. They feel trapped by their own situation and thus feel no desire to show any attention to special needs students. And thus, special needs students face bullying and neglect from those potential role models. We're also experiencing very, very limited accommodation. Plans like 504 and IEP. 504 used to be much